Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run here on YouTube.com under the UC Campbell channel. That may be changing here in the very near future. We're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about any of that stuff. That's for a different video, for a different time, and different place. But this video and review is going to be based around the Mae Young Classic. I have now watched episodes 5 through 8 after watching episodes 1 through 4 last week. I am filming this on a Monday night. I have watched those over the last week and everything, and I'm now getting to the review, obviously, at this point in time. So let's just go over everything on this one. To be honest with you, there was a lot of really good matches. A lot of really good matches done within these particular 4 episodes. Now, during the first 4 episodes, you did see a little bit of discrepancy between experience, everything in that sense. You saw that a little bit here, especially with the quarterfinal side, but as soon as or not the quarterfinal side, but the second round side, as soon as you got to the quarterfinals, semifinals, things got really good. But for the most part, you had some really good matches in all the episodes here. Rachel Evers and Abby Laith, I thought was a really good match. Where you had Rachel Evers actually pulling a power slam off the top rope. It was also a very strike-heavy match where Abby Laith did get the victory with the alligator roll again, and like I said, it was a really good match. You have Piper. I'm going through episode 5 here, just for reference of everything. You also have Piper Niven going up against Serena Deeb. They've been playing off the story of Serena Deeb kind of getting a little bit of a redemption story, coming back to the WWE after everything that happened her first time around, kind of like the Brian Kendrick storyline from the Cruiserweight Classic. They do end that here, though, with Piper Niven going over, and what was a really good match between both of them. I thought it was just a very enjoyable match, but they did not continue on with this redemption story that they were going with here. They did have that end here with Piper Niven going over and having her go on to the quarterfinal round. You have Princess Sahue going up against Mercedes Martinez. I thought this was a really good match between both of the veterans. They kind of played off the respect and everything in that sense, where Mercedes Martinez beforehand was more of the heel in the first round matchup. She showed a little bit more respect toward, like, it was an aspect of 2 veterans going at it in this particular match. So there was a little bit more respect played off on both sides. In the match, Mercedes Martinez did go over in the end with a Fisherman Buster, and what again I thought was a pretty good match between both of them. Like I said, for the most part, I didn't really find a bad match. The only match I really found to be close to bad during any of these episodes was way back in, I believe, episode 2 with Marty Bell's match. That was probably the only really meh match close to bad in that sense. I did not really find that one particularly entertaining, but in these episodes I couldn't really find a bad match at all in any way. So episode 5's main event was Bianca Belair going up against Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane going over with the big elbow drop at the end, and this was a really good match. Bianca Belair looking really good inside of this match. They're playing this whole thing off that her hair is almost like a whip, so she kind of uses it as a legal weapon throughout the match. She goes crazy on Kairi Sane in one portion of the match, making it feel like that maybe Kairi could end up losing. Like, you could tell Kairi Sane throughout the entire set of matches here was kind of the big star through all of this, or at least the big baby face going through all of this one in her matches. So they kind of played it off that Bianca may be able to get out the win. She even busts out a 450 splash in her match as well with Kairi Sane. So really good match. Both women looking really good. Bianca Belair looking really good herself. A lot of people knew Kairi Sane was going to be really good. I think there's some more people that are going to be kind of shocked if they watch this match with Bianca Belair with how good she could potentially be down the line. Let's see if we'll see if they do have her signed or anything in that sense, and where she goes from here on in. If she's going to be in WWE or she's going to be going off to independence or anything in that sense. But really good match. Good way of ending this. Good way of ending this show here. So off to episode 6, you had Lacey Evans going up against Toni Storm. Again, another really good match here. We finally got a look at Toni Storm's finish, which was a variation of the Celtic Cross, but is more of like a neck breaker where she has them in the Celtic Cross position and then just plants their neck right into her leg and knee. It looked extremely vicious. Toni Storm goes over Lacey Evans in this match, and again, was a pretty good match. Up next, you had Mia Yim going up against Shayna Baszler. This one is where things kind of started going, where you can see where they're going with a storyline here, with things down the line. And this was leaked out beforehand, but this is where you kind of get to see everything. So the match with Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler, I thought was a very good match. Again, Baszler kind of coming off as this rough and tough, kind of dominant person, but she's also coming up with creative ways of reversing people's moves into her rear naked choke finisher. And she does it this time by reversing, by getting out of the way of the 450 splash and going straight into it. It was a very good way of going in there, and both of them worked really well together. But after the match is where kind of the story kind of picks up. So, of course, you have the 4 horsewomen of MMA sitting there. Sorry, I don't remember all of their names. I know Baszler now, and I know Ronda Rousey. I don't really... I'll learn them. That's the thing. I'll learn their names as time comes along. But you had all 4 of them sitting over there. And you had 3 of the 4 WWE horsewomen because because when they taped these, I think Sasha Banks was out of country doing a promotional tour. So you have Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Bayley in the front row as well for this match. And afterwards, after Shayna Baszler celebrates with her 4 horsewomen, she kind of gets in the face of the other 3, which kind of starts a quick back and forth of the words between the 2 sides. So it seems as if we're going to be going 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen at some point in time. Matter of fact, they even played up a video, I think, in another episode, or it may have been later on in this episode, that had Ronda and the other 2 talking about Shayna Baszler and everything in that sense, what they meant to her. They get interrupted by Becky, Charlotte, and Bayley again, and basically Ronda's like, "Name your time, name your place, and we will do this." And basically it was like, "Okay." It's like, "Okay, well," and then just walked off. So it seems like we're going to be getting a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match at some point in time, whether it be, I would have to say if they're going for the next big pay-per-view, it would be Survivor Series. Could be something else down the line. So it seems like we would have a 4-on-4, which would probably lead into something a little bit more. So that is one of the other storylines coming out of this, is what's going to potentially happen on main roster now that you have with this 4 horsewomen of MMA versus 4 horsewomen of WWE. So back into the matches there, I kind of had to talk about that one on that side by coming up to the because that's what happened after this particular match in general, was building up that story as well. So the next match they had was Rhea Ripley going up against Dakota Kai. Again, another really good match. Dakota Kai looking really good in this match as well. Dakota Kai going over in the match by pinfall with what was a pretty good match. It was just a pretty good match. I had watched this episode probably days ago, and I'm not fully remembering everything that happened inside of the match off the top of my head. I know it was good, mainly because I put it in my notes that it was a good match, but I didn't really put too much else in there. It was not very good note-taking. That was on me. That's on me, though. But both looking really good in this match, and I thought it was a particularly enjoyable match. So the final match of the second round was Candice LeRae going up against Nicole Savoy. Again, another really good match. They allowed Nicole to kind of show more of her suplexes here in this match. They're playing up the whole aspect of Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano because they're, real life husband and wife. And they had Candice LeRae go over in this match with the Wild Ride, which is that neck breaker off of the second rope. Really good looking move. And yeah, just another really good match in that sense. So this brought us into the quarterfinals. I'll kind of go through all these ones rather quick here in that sense, because I do kind of want to talk more about like who you would like to see, or who I would like to see show up in WWE more often afterwards. So in the quarterfinal side, you had Abby Laith going up against Mercedes Martinez. Again, another really good match. Mercedes Martinez going over in this match by pinfall, again, another Fisherman Buster to finish off Abby Laith, getting to the Elite Eight, the Elite Eight. That's how it would be if you're going by NCAA standards on that one. Up next was Candice LeRae going up against Shayna Baszler. Again, another rather quick match, but another good match between the two of them. And they really teased up the aspect of maybe Candice LeRae getting a submission hold or a submission victory by using Johnny Gargano's submission finisher on Shayna Baszler, though she eventually reverses it. And the one downside of this is, and I would agree with some other people, is that the commentators didn't even reference the fact that Candice LeRae was using her husband's submission finisher inside of the match. But that's kind of nitpicking. Honestly, I think that's kind of nitpicking at this point, because the fans got it. I think the people who were watching got it. You just didn't get the call on that one. That was basically it. And this match ends out being finished with Shayna Baszler going over again by submission after she reversed the Wild Ride into the rear naked choke. Again, that is kind of what she's been if she wasn't winning by going into the rear naked choke off a vertical suplex, she's been reversing someone's finisher into it. But afterwards, as to basically kind of say, hey, here's your main heel for this particular tournament. Shayna Baszler refuses to let go of the hold after the match, continues on with it, and holds on the rear naked choke after the tap out for a bit of period of time. You even have Johnny Gargano come in and check in on Candice LeRae and everything in that sense. So again, they set up a decent story saying, hey, here's your heel to go along with it. Up next was Piper Niven going up against Toni Storm. This was a very good match. You had Toni Storm going over in this one, so she went over to the semifinals. She obviously didn't use her finisher that she had beforehand, but she did finish it off with a top rope leg drop in this match. She even and this is one of the few times that we had even seen this one in this tournament as well. Toni Storm kicked out of Piper Niven's finisher, which was her variation of the Michinoku driver. So we finally started seeing people kind of kick out of finisher after finisher in that sense of everything. So the final match of the quarterfinals was Kairi Sane going against Dakota Kai. Again, another really good match between the both of them. The one thing I did notice is that Dakota Kai seemed to have had it felt like they were playing off of some kind of knee injury, or if she had gotten injured during her first match during the in the second round with Rhea Ripley. I don't know, but it did seem like she was moving a little bit slower and was kind of favoring her right knee throughout the entire match. It didn't really even get played up in storyline like Kairi Sane going after the knee or anything in that sense. You just kind of noticed it in there. But it was still pulled off as a really good match. Kairi Sane going over with a big elbow drop again. Hopefully Dakota Kai was not injured like severely in this tournament or anything in that sense, because she's definitely one of the people I'd like to see show up in the WWE at some point in time, if they decide to hire a bunch of these women from this particular tournament. So this brings us into the semifinal matches. They started off with Shayna Baszler going up against Mercedes Martinez. That I liked how they played off the aspect that these two in Shimmer and like their independent scene were kind of on the same team. Or well, not kind of, but they were in the same group, the same team, everything in that sense. Even to the point that every single match that Shayna Baszler has had so far, she would not do the handshake. But with Mercedes Martinez, she did the handshake at the beginning of the match. Again, very good match here between all sides. You had, of course, Mercedes Martinez trying to use her experience and everything in that sense to beat Shayna Baszler, but eventually Shayna Baszler gets the submission victory, rear naked choke after the vertical suplex. Matter of fact, I believe she might have even countered. I believe she countered Mercedes Martinez's Fisherman Buster as well, going into that suplex, into the submission finisher as well. So this brought us to the other match for the semifinals, which was Kairi Sane going up against Toni Storm. Again, a very good match in here. And this also brought up another story that went out there after this as well, with that Kairi Sane was out with a concussion after the tournaments, after the tournament matches was done. And so I was kind of looking around for it in all of her matches, and you didn't really recognize it until the match with Toni Storm, where you could probably say there was two little spots where it could have happened, though I can probably say where it probably happened, which was the first one, where she did a dive outside the ring, a diving crossbody outside the ring, and her face just smacked right into the ramp grate, into the grating on the ramp, and you could even see visible marks and maybe a little bit of swelling on her face as well. The second spot was a leg drop where it seemed like she was supposed to move out of the way, but didn't get out of the way fully in time. There was potential that's where it ended up happening. More than likely it was during the first one, in that sense. But even though that kind of happened in this match, it still came off as a really good match. You had Kairi Sane going over in the end. You were kind of expecting this, honestly. Kairi Sane going over. You could tell she was, portrayed as the big baby face. You've been portraying Shayna Baszler as the big heel throughout the entire tournament. You kind of saw it coming a little bit more towards the quarterfinals than anything in that sense. But all the matches ended up being really good. Really enjoyable matches. Really enjoyable matches on all sides here for these particular 4 episodes. So, now with me going through the matches and everything, people I would like to see be signed by WWE. For one, I would like to, there's a good chunk of people here, actually. Hopefully, because I think Kairi Sane's already there, and I think Shayna Baszler's already signed as well. Those are two that can kind of confirm that they are signed to the company because they're in the final and everything in that sense. Usually they will only put the people in the finals who they really have signed at that point in time. But other people I like to see in here. One, Candice LeRae. That would be interesting to see what she could do inside of the company. As well, if you really wanted to, you could do some like mixed tag or mixed tag matches with her and Johnny Gargano or something in that sense to go along with it. But it would also be interesting to see her just inside of the women's division in general. So I'd like to see her come in. Obviously, honestly, I won't say obvious. I said obviously, but honestly, I would like to see Mercedes Martinez in there. It's just one of those bits she performed really well in all of her matches. I hadn't really seen much of her independent work, but I really liked what I've seen here. I would also like to see Piper Niven. She put on some really good matches inside of this tournament as well. I would like to see Serena Deeb come back in as to go along with it. In that sense, kind of play off that redemption story a little bit more. Bianca Belair, I hope, is signed as well. Same with Dakota Kai. I would like to see Dakota Kai come in. Toni Storm as well. She might be signed. I'm not 100% certain on that one. They may have signed everybody who was in the semifinals. I don't know. But I would like to see Toni Storm a little bit more. Santana Garrett, I would like to see more in the inside of the company as well. She put on some really good stuff. Same with Tessa Blanchard. It feels like those two should be signed by now. I know they had them lose in the first round and everything in that sense, but you feel like they should probably have those two signed in some way, shape, or form by now. They perform really well in the ring, and it just seems like it would be a good fit for both of them. Rachel Evers, I would like to see fully signed. I know she shows up on NXT every now and again, but I hope she ends up getting signed. Same with Abby Lath as well. It's just like you saw a lot of different personality and character towards everybody inside of the tournament here, and you would just like to see a good chunk of them, good chunk of them actually brought in. And maybe work NXT, or some of them obviously maybe working the main roster or something to go along with that. You would just like to see a good chunk of them come in. All in all, I rather enjoyed all the 8 of these episodes of the Mae Young Classic. It will be interesting to see how they play off the finals. I know they just announced that there's going to be a 6-woman tag before the finals, and they only have it slated to be a half an hour. So hopefully that's kind of just a rough guesstimate, and they give a lot of time towards the finals in general to see how to let it play out for a good chunk of time. But we'll see how everything ends up playing off. So overall, Mae Young Classic, rather enjoyable. I really didn't see any bad matches in any of these. All of them were rather fun to enjoy, rather fun to watch, and honestly, watching some of these women in here, I would like to see them a lot of them brought into the WWE in some way, shape, or form, whether it be over NXT, whether it be via the main roster, or something in that sense. You got a lot of good talent here. Hopefully, a good chunk of them come in. I know I didn't say it during the other one. I hope Mia Yim comes in as well. I've seen her work as Jade and some of her other work as well, and the work that she did here with Shayna Baszler and in her first round match as well, which was with Sarah Logan. I know she's already signed. Sarah Logan's already signed. Mia Yim I would like to see brought into the company to go along with it. So with that being said, everyone, that's pretty much everything I have on the Mae Young Classic. The finals are on Tuesday. I'm filming this on a Monday night, so hopefully that comes off really good. I'm gonna do something for that one as well, whether it be a another review video or if it's live reactions. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we're going to do something for the finals as well. So with that being said, everyone, I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.